Good morning and welcome to Prakash Vidyalaya where students love to learn. My dear students of class 6, I am Ramanus Vera, your history teacher, and today we are going to do chapter 6 of your history book. New questions and ideas. New questions and ideas emerged in this subcontinent of India when there were social reformers who reformed and brought about new ideas into the continent, overruling the persisting faith or existing faith that was there since years and bringing about a new change in the social life of people. In this story, you will learn about Gautama Buddha and Mahavir Jaina, who reformed the social values, society, and the cultural life of people based on their teachings and had followers who just brought about preaching their culture to the common masses. Siddhartha, also known as Gautam, the founder of Buddhism, was born 2500 years ago and he brought about a rapid change in the people's life. He brought into his teachings to the common people. And as we have already read, some kings in the Mahajanapadas were growing more and more powerful and new cities were developing and life was changing in villages as well. Many thinkers were trying to understand these changes in society and they brought out the true meaning of life to the people. Rather, there was more of moral and ethical life during this period. Buddha belonged to the small Gana known as the Sakya Gana and was a Kshatriya by birth. When he was a young man, he left the comforts and sacrificed the richly life of a prince and started going in search of the truth or reality of life. He wandered for several years, meeting and holding discussions with other thinkers. He finally decided to find his own path of realization and meditated for several days and years together under the peepal tree of Bodh Gaya in Bihar. He was known as Buddha or the Wise One because he got his enlightenment under this Bodhi tree. He then went to Saranath near Varanasi where he taught for the first time and spent his life moving about and preaching about the goodness from place to place. And he passed away at Kushinagar. There's a lot which we the Indians have learned from the Upanishads, the Vedas, the rich cultural texts of India. And around the time that Buddha was preaching and perhaps a little earlier, other thinkers also tried to find answers to some of the difficult questions. Some of them wanted to know about life after death. Others wanted to know why sacrifices are held. Many of these thinkers felt that there was something permanent in the universe and would last even after death. So people started searching what is the reality, what is the truth. We human beings are mortals and what is the life after death. They described this as the Atma or individual soul and the Brahma or universal soul. They believed that ultimately both Atma and Brahma were one and it was an undividable source of power. Many of their ideas were recorded in the Upanishads. These were part of the later Vedic texts. Upanishads literally mean approaching and sitting near. These Upanishads carried a lot of texts which advised people how to lead better lives. These texts contained conversation between teachers and students. Often ideas were presented through simple dialogues. Most Upanishadic thinkers were men, especially Brahmins and Rajas. Occasionally there is a mention of women thinkers also, such as Gargi, who was famous for her learning and participated in debates held in royal courts. Apart from that, the Jainism also rose to power. The last and the 24th Tirthankara of the Jainas, Vardhaman Mahavira, is idolized and worshipped as one of the avatars, and he preached a lot of ways and methods and rules how to lead a strict and disciplined life. He was born in Kshatriya family of the Lichavis, a group that was a part of the Vaji Sangha, about which you will read in chapter 5 at the age of 30, he left the home and went into forest searching for the truth of life like Buddha did. And for 12 years he led a hard, lonely and a strict life with a lot of hardships and finally attained enlightenment. He taught simple doctrine. Men and women who wish to know the truth must leave their homes and follow strict rules of ahimsa and not to hurt other living things. And his teachings and principles and rules were so difficult that it was very hard for people to follow it. There were several forms of Prakrit because ordinary people could not understand the teaching of Mahavira and followers. They used Prakrit. There were different forms of Prakrit used in different parts of the country and named after the regions in which they were used. For example, Prakriti spoken in Magda was called in Magadhi, and so on. Followers of Mahavira, who were known as Jainas, had to lead very simple lives begging for food and had to be absolutely honest and were specially asked not to steal and also had to observe celibacy, and men had to give up everything including their clothes. There are two sects of people like the Digambaras and the Swetambaras. Swetambaras wore clothes and Digambaras were naked and covered themselves with ashes. And these people, these Buddhist monks, the Jainist monks, they used to live in open shelter houses known as the monasteries, which were fed and looked after by the rich business class people or the rich kings who used to give in charity a lot of food and other things for these people of the monasteries. Monasteries were exclusively built for these monks of Buddhist and Jain followers. Most of these people used to go and beg for food in the societies, or they were called bhikshus, and they had to lead a hard life, and most of them had to be morally well and more like the life of a sannyasis. These monks never used to get married. Monks, and there were also some followers who were nuns. The women also were followers of Jainism. They were called the nuns. The monks and nuns used to stay in these monasteries where they were away from the social life. Hope you all understood this chapter. Thank you very much.